My great uncle Patrick Leaper was a brigadier, originally from the Devonshire Regiment. During the Second World War, he was very much involved in port logistics, and as a result he became the commandant in charge of the Mulberry Harbour. The Mulberry Harbour's project was large concrete floating pontoons at the very basic level that were floated over post the initial assault. And they were arranged just off the coast in Arromarsh, and they were used then for the disembarkation of material and men from the ships that were the follow-up to the initial assault on D-Day. It was a massive undertaking, and I think if we had to do, God forbid, something like that today, the undertaking would be no less, despite great leaps forward in technology and warfighting capability. And being able to stand on a cliff next to the D-Day Museum and look out over a bay that still has the remains of something that a member of my family had such a significant part to play in. Yes, it really is quite a sort of a proud moment.
My father joined the Royal Marines straight from school early on in the Second World War, and ended up landing on Juno Beach on 6th of June. He particularly remembered an event shortly after getting inland where he in a tank stopped at a broken down section of wall and found a dying Canadian soldier. The dying soldier said to him in his last breaths, "Light a candle for me." Every year from that moment, my father lit a candle of remembrance for this young Canadian soldier.
My grandfather was in the Royal Army Medical Corps. He trained as a doctor before the Second World War. After some fairly rudimentary military training, he was prepared and sent off to invade Europe as part of the D-Day landings. Boarded onto a troop ship in Southampton water, and they were making their way across actually on the day itself, but unfortunately didn't quite make it as the troop ship was sadly torpedoed. As my grandfather describes it, he was about 2 minutes from death. His cabin was on the waterline. As he was moving forwards, the torpedo struck just aft of where he was. Every time I go through the damage control simulator, I think of my grandfather and how he experienced being torpedoed on his way across to Normandy.
Few words can really describe the selfless commitment that comes with giving your life to defend and protect your nation. But these values, although first attributed to the commandos in 1940, ring true for every Marine that has served their country over the last 350 years. The first of these fine men were recruited in 1664. They were land soldiers prepared for sea service and held at high readiness. Their first major battle was won in Gibraltar in 1704 during the War of the Spanish Succession. Allied with the Dutch, their courage and determination were duly tested when they stormed, seized, and then held the Gibraltar fortress from sieges for 9 months. Throughout the 18th and 19th century, they became a key part of a ship's company, ensuring the security of officers and helping maintain discipline within the ship's crew. But more importantly, when in battle, they engaged the enemy, whether firing from positions on ship or fighting in boarding actions. The most notable battle of this time was during the Napoleonic Wars, when 2,700 Royal Marines took part in the great victory at Trafalgar. As a direct result of this battle, Britain secured global supremacy at sea. Remembered as one of the bloodiest wars in history, Royal Marines were a vital asset to the Navy and Britain, operating the gun turrets and secondary armament on board ships at sea. On land, they fought heroically in the trenches on the Western Front, in the bold amphibious campaign at Gallipoli, and they led the famous assault on the harbor at Zeebrugge. The war had a devastating effect on Britain and its people. The combined death toll was 16 million, and economic stability was shattered. In September 1939, the world was once again plunged into war. A war so destructive that it cost the lives of 55 million people and turned cities into rubble. 80,000 Royal Marines served their country, operating from land, at sea, and in the air. It was here that the first commandos performed skilled raids on targets in German-occupied Europe. These raiders wore the distinctive green beret that is still worn by Royal Marines today. Together with their comrades manning the landing craft, the Royal Marines commandos were among the first troops ashore during the Normandy landings, the largest amphibious operation in history. They played a leading role in securing the beaches so that subsequent operations could defeat the German army. The retention of the commando role and the associated amphibious capability developed in the Second World War became the focus of the Royal Marines' future. Since 1945, they have seen action almost every year, with 1968 the only exception. When called upon, they've always been ready to go, anywhere in the world at a moment's notice. Be it Korea, Suez, Malaya, and Borneo throughout the 1950s and 60s, or in more recent years, Northern Ireland, Bosnia, Kosovo, the Falklands, where they played a major role in recapturing the islands from the Argentinians and protecting the nation's interests and those of our allies in both Gulf Wars. Today's battles vary greatly to those fought in the 19th century, but Marines are a highly adaptable force, and this was proven in the ever-changing landscape of the war in Afghanistan. It began as thankless kinetic warfare, slowly gaining land and clearing insurgents. This then turned into finding and defusing deadly IEDs, helping to clear and rebuild villages so that locals could return to their homes and feel safe once again. The Marines, together with the rest of the Navy, have been a vital part in providing security, developing governance, and helping secure Afghanistan for a better future. Throughout the battles the Royal Marines have been involved in over the last 350 years, they have lost many men. Men who fought with courage, bravery, and valor, making the ultimate sacrifice for their country and its interests. And they continue to do so to this day. No matter what the challenge, the Royal Marines have the skills, training, and state of mind to deter, defend, and defeat any potential threats to the United Kingdom. And, like those before them, they are prepared to fight and win anywhere in the world.